Today's topic is the ethics of emergency. Now, let me put what I'm about to say in context. It's March 22nd in the year 2020 when I'm recording this, and most of the country has been under a quarantine for about 2 weeks now, a week and a half. Pick an arbitrary date. St. Patrick's Day 2020 is when most people were put under a quarantine, where we're told not to go out of our houses, to limit shopping, to limit social interaction, not to have gatherings more than 10 people in public. And during this time, with the COVID-19 outbreak, there were two reports, one from Brigham Young University in Provo, and then one from the Brigham Young University Idaho campus, that people were stealing hand sanitizer and toilet paper from the bathrooms on the campuses. And so the question is, during an emergency, is such behavior permitted? Also keeping the context, these are religious universities that have honor codes where students say, okay, we're not going to do this, plus as part of their faith. Now, in analyzing the question, we have to keep two things in mind. First, what are called basic ethics, and the other thing that are called crisis ethics. Basic ethics, that's the 10 Commandments, where thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, that type of thing. And that's the general guidelines under normal conditions. But what happens when there's an emergency going on, where this isn't the normal state of affairs, where we're having this pandemic of COVID-19 going on? There have been runs at the stores, like when you go, I went shopping yesterday and they were just all out of cheese, all out of toilet paper, all out of hand sanitizer. There were other things going on, so it wasn't a complete disaster. But during an emergency like this, where there's shortages, is stealing or doing something like that ethically permissible? To begin with, under basic ethics, no. Now, that's a fairly solid statement, is that no, you don't steal stuff. Because you just go through normal procedures where you pay for it, you buy. However, during an emergency, where there are shortages, such ethics permissible. Now, the philosopher Thomas Aquinas, he's a Roman Catholic. Now, these are universities belonging to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so it's a different denomination, but still Aquinas is a philosopher. And when he was asked this question, now let me see where I find it. Oh, here it is in the Summa Theologica. It's the second part of the second part, question 66, in the 7th article. And what the question is: may one lawfully steal out of necessity? And he makes arguments against it, but such as human beings should love their neighbor as themselves, but one may not lawfully steal in order to assist a neighbor by giving the neighbor alms, as Augustine said in his work, the expression robbing Peter to pay Paul. But what Aquinas says is, on the contrary, all things are common property in cases of necessity, and so it does not seem a sin if one takes the property of another, since necessity has made the property common. Then he adds, prescriptions of human law cannot derogate from natural or divine law, but the natural order established by divine providence has ordered inferior things to alleviate the necessity of human beings. And so the division and appropriation of material things, which proceeds from human law, does not preclude that such things should alleviate the necessity of human beings. And so the natural law requires that superfluous things in one possession may be used for the sustenance of the poor. Then he adds, still, if the necessity is so pressing and clear that one has an immediate need of the thing at hand, for example, when personal danger threatens and there's no way to avoid it, then one may lawfully alleviate one's necessity with the goods of another, whether one takes the goods openly or secretly. Nor does this, properly speaking, have the character of theft or robbery. And so Thomas Aquinas says, during an emergency, such a thing is ethically permissible. And that's a bit of a common sense perception. For example, if you're being chased by a... this happens in movies all the time. The hero is trying to chase a bad guy, so he goes up to someone in a car, pulls them out of the car, or it's a police officer, and they take the car and head off there. But I would add this point. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I'm a member of that church, have been taught welfare principles, that you always have food storage on hand, that you prepare for such situations like this. And it may be possible that some of these students were just not taking this counsel seriously to prepare for these type of emergencies where you stock up, you have cash on hand, you have stuff around the house that you can eat without cooking in case of emergency. So I kind of agree with Aquinas there that such a thing would be permissible in case of an emergency, and it's been declared by both the president and the governor of the state of Utah that we're in a state of emergency. But on the other hand, is this problem's arising because people weren't preparing themselves properly. They weren't taking advice and counsel and common sense seriously, and so they're in this fix where they have to steal stuff in order to get by. So it's, as I see it, it's not all cut and dried as you can make it out to be. But as I said, in the case of an emergency, things function a little bit differently than they do in day-to-day situations. So I kind of give people a pass, but next time they should learn better. Thank you, and that's all for today.